Together, we represent millions of families and workers from across this country. And for the next 24 hours, we will be holding vigil for the 80 million of us who need Medicaid to survive. Medicaid supports young parents who are just starting families. It funds wages for direct care workers who care for our older and disabled loved ones. It offers health care to some of our most undervalued essential workers. It is a workforce program. It is a health care program. It is a long-term care program all in one. And if you yourself don't use Medicaid, I promise you that you know and love someone who does. Medicaid is the heart of the American social contract. It's a promise that we make to each other and to future generations that in America, we will take care of each other. And right now, some members of Congress are trying to slash Medicaid with some proposed cuts, $880 billion in cuts, billion with a B. At a time when the cost of care is skyrocketing, ripping away this safety net is the last thing we need. We need more investments in Medicaid, not less. We need, for so many of us, Medicaid is what we turn to in times of crisis, when we have an accident, when our kids get sick, our moms need long-term care. Without Medicaid, there will be nothing to catch us when we fall. So we are in the fight of our lives for our families and for our future. And so, for the next 24 hours, we will give our time, our energy, and our sleep to make sure that our stories are heard. We will bear witness to the testimony of hundreds of families and workers across this country, like all of you who are tuning into this live stream, whose lives have been deeply touched by Medicaid. And throughout it all, we will take care of each other. We will connect. We will find courage and comfort in the community of 80 million of us who rely on this essential program. And we will add our voices to the growing chorus throughout this country that is showing up and speaking up with one voice to protect Medicaid. Thank you for being a part of this growing chorus, and I could not be prouder to be a part of this growing family of fighters. Nothing is more important than protecting Medicaid, and we need each other now more than ever to win this fight. And so with that, I am so honored to introduce our first speaker, one of our nation's greatest care champions, someone who knows in her bones, with every cell in her body, what we must do as a country to support caregiving families, because she is a caregiver herself. Please help me welcome Congresswoman Debbie Dingell from Michigan's 12th District. Welcome, Congresswoman Dingell.
Good afternoon, everybody. Can't tell you how grateful I am to be with my friend Anshu here, who I've been in the battles with for a long time. And we are going to stay there. We are going to keep fighting. We are not going to let them hurt Americans across this country with access to health care. And the work that you're doing matters more than you will ever know. We must raise the human stories. We must put the face in our communities on what's happening. And we must make sure that nobody can ignore what is going to happen if they do cut Medicaid. This is a national crisis. So saying that to you, there are two facts I want to share. The Congressional Budget Office today has come out with its study saying that the proposals that they are putting forward will cost millions of people in this country health care, confirming what we have been saying. It is a nonpartisan budget office warning America of the consequences of what Republicans are proposing. And in Michigan, I've been working with the governor, and the governor signed an executive order 2 weeks ago to study what the impacts would be in Michigan if Medicaid is cut the way they say they want to do it. And she is releasing her preliminary study today, and immediately, 700,000 people in Michigan alone would lose health care. Not okay. But I'd rather, and we need you. I want to say this to you. We've got a 24-hour vigil now. We think markup may be next week, but I think they've got their hands full. We're raising those stories. We cannot stop. But I want to read to you a story. I have been going around Michigan and other places. I've been with the governor at several hospitals talking about the impact. And a mother, Maria Atkins from Warren, Michigan, wrote me about her Republican congressman. And I think her story says it all. So that's what I want to read for the bulk of my comments. My name is Marie Atkins, and I'm a mom to a son with special needs. I'm also a nurse in primary care settings. My story is from the front lines, and I want Representative John James to understand this clearly. If you cut Medicaid, Americans will die. People will get sick. They'll lose jobs. Some won't survive. It's not an exaggeration, it's a reality. This bill doesn't cut waste. It cuts the heart out of programs that help Americans meet their basic needs: health care, nutrition, essential services. There's nothing excessive about needing insulin or a wheelchair or therapy. It's not a luxury, it's survival. My son is on the autism spectrum. He's come a long way. He's verbal now, social, and doing great, but only because we fought for support. We had to pull him from public school and homeschool him to give him the care he needed. That's what it took. There are so many American families like mine. Their kids need speech therapy, occupational therapy, mental health care. A lot of those services are covered by Medicaid, and this bill would gut that. And let's be real about who it hits the hardest: children, people with disabilities, low-income seniors. These are Americans who rely on Medicaid to live with dignity, to have food on the table, to get doctor's appointments, to afford medication. And what about our veterans? We call them heroes. But if this bill passes, we are abandoning them, stripping away the care they've earned. That's just not a policy failure. It's a moral one. People talk about fraud like it's everywhere, but it's not. I've seen the numbers. I'd show them to you. The truth is, most Americans on Medicaid are just trying to survive and thrive like anyone would. Meanwhile, the top 1% isn't paying their fair share in taxes. I pay mine. I don't mind. I want to contribute. But this bill is going after the people with the least power, while the wealthy Americans get to skip out. That's not right. Every day at our clinic, I hear it. I'm scared. I feel hopeless. I just don't know how much longer I can hang on. These aren't just words. This is the mental health crisis we are living in, and this bill makes it worse. So I'm asking my representative, as a mom, a mental health worker, and an American, do not vote to cut Medicaid. Don't cut the heart out of what holds this country together.
Thank you, Congresswoman Dingell, for your words, your leadership, and for sharing those powerful words from your constituent. Next, we have with us another champion who's been fighting, advocating, organizing tirelessly for health care, for dignity, for care workers and all workers, and all of our families. Please help me welcome Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal from the great state of Washington.
Thank you so much to my incredible sister in the struggle, Ai-jen Poo, and to Caring Across Generations, to all of the Medicaid enrollees and advocates, to all the supporting individuals and organizations that are here today to say, hands off our Medicaid. I've just come from a budget hearing where we talked about the slashing of programs that are so critical to the health and well-being of all Americans. And I want to be clear that a cut to Medicaid is a cut to Medicaid, whether you cap the federal spending caps, whether you shift the burden of cost to the state government, or whether you institute terrible work requirements that would mean that Americans who are in vulnerable health, who are taking care of their family members, who have disabilities that prevent them from working, that would be terrible for all Americans and is a cut to Medicaid. Medicaid is essential. It's not a red state, blue state issue. It serves 80 million Americans, including 33 million kids. And that's 910,000 kids in my home state of Washington. It provides nursing home care for 5 out of 8 seniors. It pays for 41% of births in the United States, including, by the way, 64% of all the births in the state of Louisiana. That's the home state of Speaker Mike Johnson and Majority Leader Steve Scalise. Everyone's constituents depend on Medicaid. And yet, despite all of this, I see my Republican colleagues trying to cut a minimum of $880 billion from this vital health care program. And just today, the nonpartisan CBO, that's a Congressional Budget Office, released a report and said that millions of Americans would lose their health coverage under this bill. That's why you're all here. That's why we're all here. And I wanted to share a story from my district. When my constituent Adele, her daughter was 4 years old, she got sick. And at first it seemed like a very run-of-the-mill fever, but things got worse very, very quickly. She had strep that went systemic, and her entire body shut down. Her hospital bill for the first month of her 9-month hospital stay, Adele's daughter was in the hospital for 9 months, and her hospital bill was over $1 million. $1 million. She needed heart, lung, and kidney bypasses, and she had less than a 5% chance of surviving. But she was strong. Adele was strong, her daughter was strong, the community was strong, and Adele's daughter did survive. She is now in the 7th grade, and her teachers describe her as the hardest worker they've ever seen, super resilient, and an absolute joy in class. She is alive today because of Medicaid. She is alive because of Medicaid. Adele has absolutely no idea how many millions of dollars her daughter's continued treatment and recovery would have cost without Medicaid, but she does know that without it, she would have been financially ruined, but even more, she would have been destroyed by the death of her beautiful daughter. So these are the miracles that are possible thanks to Medicaid, because the clear reality is that Medicaid saves lives. And if that deserves, absolutely, it saves lives. And if Republicans succeed with these cuts, millions of kids and low-income seniors and people with disabilities will lose crucial coverage and face unpayable medical bills. So this budget that's being proposed is a betrayal. It's a betrayal of poor and working class and middle class American families. And why? All so that they can give a $7 trillion tax break to the wealthiest individuals. It is cruel, it is shameful, we cannot let it happen, and by being here today and by all the work you're doing in places across the country, you are being very clear about what we stand for, what we will fight for, to say, hands off our Medicaid. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you, Ai-jen.
Let's give it up one more time for Congresswoman Jayapal. Thank you for fighting for us every single day. Our next speaker is someone who is a very close friend of mine, somebody who I have ridden on buses across this country with, collecting care stories, sharing our care stories, because she's out here every day fighting for families who need care and rely on care. Elena Hung is the executive director and co-founder of Little Lobbyists. Yay, Little Lobbyists! But most importantly, she is the mother of Xiomara, and she's going to tell you all about her. Please welcome Elena Hung.
Hello, everybody. Hi, thank you, and thank you, Ai-jen. I have said it before, and I'll say it again. I know I'm fighting the good fight when I'm fighting with you. So thank you, and thank you to Caring Across Generations and all the fantastic organizations for being amazing partners. And friends, thank you for spending this beautiful Wednesday with us. I am so grateful that we have gathered today to talk about a subject very near and dear my heart, Medicaid. That's right. Medicaid saved my family, and that is why I am here to join all of you to fight tooth and nail to protect it. Oh, thanks. I am Elena Hung. I am a mom. I'm a caregiver to my amazing disabled daughter, Xiomara, who is the joy of my life. Xiomara fans, yay. Xiomara has been able to survive and thrive because of the care that she has received. And I want to be clear about this, because of the care that Medicaid has made possible for a child born with complex medical needs and disabilities. Without Medicaid, disabled kids like Xiomara would not be able to live at home with their families. Without Medicaid, disabled kids like Xiomara would not be able to attend school to learn with their friends. And I've often said, there is not a single thing that I would change about my daughter, but there are a million things that I would change about this world so that it would be worthy of her. And the first thing that I would change is to ensure that all children have the health care they need to survive and thrive. And we can do that by protecting Medicaid. Medicaid helps fund the home and community-based services. That means disabled children and disabled adults can live in the setting of their choice, surrounded by their loved ones, receiving the care that they need. Now, in the next 24 hours, we're going to bear witness to stories from across the country about what Medicaid means. I am immensely grateful to all of you, immensely grateful to all of the Little Lobbyist families. They're out there, who have traveled to Washington, D.C. to share their Medicaid story, to all the little lobbyist families who could not physically be here but have sent their Medicaid stories to be read and shared. We are here to tell members of Congress what Medicaid means to disabled children. Let's be clear, Americans do not want to steal from disabled children to give tax breaks to giant corporations and billionaires like Elon Musk. So let's protect Medicaid. Let's protect our children. Thank you so much, everybody.
There's a lot of mom power at this vigil, and it's only fitting because so many childbirths are supported by Medicaid, so much maternal health is supported by Medicaid, and also because Mother's Day is coming this weekend. A shout out to all the moms who are tuning into the live stream, all the moms who are here today. If you are a mom, please raise your hand so we can give you some love. It is now a thrill for me to introduce a powerful leader among moms and among all of us who has been fighting for families and care for her whole life. She's also a mom herself, and her organization has been mobilizing moms all over this country to protect Medicaid, and they're just getting started. Literally millions of stories coming in, and they have just gotten started. So I can't wait for you to hear from Kristen Rao-Finkbeiner, who is the executive director and CEO of Moms Rising. Please welcome her.
Thank you, Ai-jen. Can we give Ai-jen a round of applause for her incredible leadership, lifting up many organizations and a whole movement? I want to say, hello, Medicaid champions. Isn't it good to be here together saying, let's go, Medicaid? So we're here today, and we'll be here for the next 24 hours to tell Republicans in that Congress right there that Medicaid is so much more than just another line item in the federal budget. It's a lifeline for moms, children, and families. It's essential for our communities, our businesses, and our economy, and we intend to protect it. Who here is ready to fight to protect Medicaid? Let's hear you. And who knows this? What happens when we fight? When we fight? All right. Medicaid is the reason we fight. Medicaid is the reason that more than 72 million of us have access to health care. It's the reason nearly half of our nation's births are covered. It's the reason more than 62% of people in nursing homes can be there. It's the reason more than 1 in 3 people with disabilities can get the care they need. And that is not all, people. Medicaid is the reason that rural hospitals and hospitals of all sizes can keep their doors open when any of us have an emergency. And it's the reason that millions of children and millions of people can get the preventative care that they need so they don't end up in medical crisis. We absolutely need Medicaid, yet even with all of these reasons, all of these excellent reasons, Republican leadership in Congress is trying to cut it. To this we say, no way, not on our watch. So we are rising, all of us are rising to protect Medicaid. Just at Moms Rising alone, our members have made over 2,950 local deliveries of our stories to the local offices of the members of Congress in the last month alone. And here are a couple. Victoria in Arizona is a proud veteran, and she shares that Medicaid is the reason her 7-year-old son was finally able to be diagnosed with autism and get the in-home therapies that helped enormously. Robin in Pennsylvania shares that Medicaid is the reason her mother, who has Parkinson's, can actually go fill her prescriptions, get health care, and get help from home health care aides who assist her with daily activities. Cutting $880 billion, as Ai-jen said, with a B, over the next 10 years, as Republicans are poised to do, would have devastating consequences for Victoria and Robin, for you, for me, and for all of us, for tens of millions of people. It would cause massive harms, too, to our businesses and our economy. This is not okay. To make these cuts simply to line the pockets of billionaires and wealthy corporations is cruel, it's reckless, and it is truly disgraceful. That's why all of us are fighting back. That's why all of us are fighting back to protect our health care. That's why all of us are here today. And we are powerful. I want to sit with that for a moment. We are powerful. We beat back already in the recent past dozens of attempts, actually 52 attempts to overturn the Affordable Care Act in a similar against all odds situation. And we will win this time too, because there are a lot of us and we are determined. So let's be clear, and this is the moment of hope, people, that you've been waiting for. What we're doing is working. What we're doing together in coalition is working. Speaking out, telling our stories, taking action, and being here today is working. House Republicans are delaying their votes because they don't have enough votes, people. We need to keep them delaying. They're delaying releasing bill language. We have over a dozen Republicans coming out in the House saying that they are concerned about cuts to Medicaid, and we only need 3 to win in the House. So we need to keep the pressure up. We need to double down. We need to speak out all of the next 24 hours. We need to speak out in our local communities. We need to speak to our friends, families, and neighbors. We need to lift up that cutting Medicaid for 80 million people is not okay. So never, ever, ever forget that we're a persistent, powerful, and winning movement. And here's the proof. We talked about Mother's Day coming up. I'm going to bring us back to that. Would everyone who is a mom raise a hand? Now, would everyone who has ever had a mom raise your hand? Anybody with a belly button is in this movement, you all. And together, we are the inevitable force that will bring our win forward to the nation. So what happens when we fight? When we fight, and we will win. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kristen, for always bringing the energy and the joy and the humor. When we started this rally, I talked about how Medicaid is a healthcare program, it's a workforce program, it's a long-term care program, and how many essential workers who are undervalued rely on Medicaid for their health care. Well, right now we're going to hear from Ai-jen Poo, who is a clinical worker from SEIU Local 721. A proud healthcare worker from Los Angeles, an essential worker who we rely on every day for essential care. And I just want to shout out everyone from SEIU who is here today. There's a lot of purple power here and all over this country, and I know this union is in motion fighting to protect Medicaid, and I want to say thank you for that. And please welcome Ai-jen Poo.
I'm Ai-jen Poo. I'm an outreach coordinator for St. John's Community Health Clinic in Los Angeles. I'm here to tell you about the effects these cuts would have on our patients and our communities. I've been with St. John's for over 15 years. We have over 30 sites convening in communities as far as Riverside and San Bernardino County. I am also a proud member of SEIU 721 and SEIU Community Clinic Workers United, which is a statewide campaign uniting clinic workers across California. Across California, over 7 million people use community clinics, and 68% of community clinic patients rely on Medi-Cal. That's what Medicaid is called in California. My job is to go out into the community and help people with services they desperately need. For example, after the COVID outbreak, we were coordinating the mobile units to go into our most vulnerable communities where access to health care was limited. Getting quality Medi-Cal shouldn't be treated as a privilege. It's a basic human right. But see, now Congress wants to slash Medicaid so they can give trillions in tax cuts to the wealthiest Americans who don't need it. They want to take health care away from worker families like me and you, hurting the poor, most vulnerable or colored people that use Medicaid. These cuts would also hurt our grandparents that rely on nursing, our rural and community hospitals that rely on Medicaid funds to keep their doors open, our nation's veterans, many with chronic and health conditions. Our veterans put their lives on the line. Now our country is putting their lives on the line by cutting Medicaid. And I haven't even touched the impact it's going to have on jobs. Healthcare workers will lose their jobs. Medicaid saves lives. These cuts will put people at risk. I'm going to say it one more time. Hands off Medicaid.
Give it up for Gary Poo. And all the SEIU members out here fighting to save Medicaid. All right, our next speaker, we have a very special guest next. We have the star of the feature documentary, Patrice the Movie. She is here today. Patrice Jeter, please welcome her. She's here today representing Disability Rights, Education, and Defense, the Disability Rights and Education and Defense Fund. Please help me give a warm welcome to Patrice. When we fight, when we fight, when we fight.
Hi, my name is Patrice Jeter. There's a movie about me on Hulu called Patrice the Movie. And it's about how hard it is to live on Medicaid as a disabled person, even when you're getting full benefits. Even with my crossing guard job, which I love, and my Social Security benefits, I can barely afford to pay all my bills. I'm only allowed to have $2,000 in the bank. And if I go over that, yeah, that's right. If I go over that, I lose my Medicaid. That limit hasn't changed since the 80s. I can't marry the love of my life, Gary. Or even move in with him, because we'll both lose our Medicaid, which we both need to survive. Disabled people like us shouldn't have to choose between getting access to health care and marrying the person we love. But I can't live without Medicaid. My medication cost $1,000 for a 1-month supply, and I can't afford that with my crossing guard job. If I lost my Medicaid, I would have to choose between getting the medication I need and paying my rent. I would lose my home. My biggest fear is ending up in an institution. I spent a few years in an institution when I was younger, and it was not a nice place. The guards can do whatever they want to you, and there's nothing you can do about it. If we lose access to Medicaid, we lose access to many other things we rely on to survive, like home and community-based services, waivers, and group homes. I just want to live my life with my partner and be happy. And I want that for everyone else too. It's not a lot to ask. Our lives are more important than paying for taxes for billionaires. If we as disabled people have to figure out how to live on $2,000 a month, they can figure out how to pay their taxes. I know, right? If they need help sticking to a budget and managing their money better, We can help them. We had to learn how to do it, and they can too. We're going to save Medicaid, and we're all going to do it together. I love you all, and I'm in the fight with you. Hands off Medicaid. Thank you. Back at you.
Thank you, Patrice. We love you too. Isn't that right? Next, we have with us a lifelong fighter for justice, for fairness, for health care, for working families, someone whose own story and leadership has been an inspiration to millions of people across this country. Please help me welcome Congressman Jamie Raskin from Maryland's 8th District.
Hello, everybody. You know, a rally a day keeps the fascists away. So this is my rally today. But I guess I get to come back tonight because it's going tonight, and it's going through the night, and it's going to tomorrow. So I want to salute everybody for being part of this 24-hour essential vigil rally protest for Medicaid in America. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being part of it. We've got 80 million people who depend on Medicaid. I think it's 32 or 33 million children in the country who depend on Medicaid. Sometimes people say to me, well, is it more important to go and fight for democracy and judicial independence and the right to vote, or is it more important to go and fight for Medicaid and Social Security? That's a false choice. It's all the same. We got to fight for democracy and all of the achievements of democracy. And that's what Medicaid is. Prior generations of Americans fought to make Social Security happen. They fought to make Medicaid happen. They fought to make Medicare happen. And we are not going to let this administration dismantle democracy, the Constitution, the right to vote, the Bill of Rights, or any of the programmatic successes and achievements of democracy in America, like Medicaid, like Medicare, like Social Security. We're going to defend it all. And we're going to win, and we're going to get through this, and we're going to be stronger than we were even before we started, once we do. So I want to thank all of you for hanging tough for a lot of my constituents. I had a meeting about Medicaid, and we heard different people testify about what Medicaid means to them. I've got one young man who's a friend of mine in Rockville who told me about how Medicaid has enabled him to live independently and with dignity at Main Street. I don't know if any of you guys know Main Street in Rockville. And he's been able to work 2 jobs because of Medicaid. So he's able to participate in the workforce. He's able to live independently. And without Medicaid, it pulls the plug on his ability to participate in our society. Another constituent of mine, Jill McCaslin, talked about how she got a lung transplant at Johns Hopkins University Hospital, and she relies on Medicaid for her oxygen and for medical treatments. And she says very simply, without my drugs and without my visits to my doctor that are paid for by Medicaid, I will die. I will not be able to breathe. It will be over for me. This is a matter of life and death for millions of people across the country. So the question is, what kind of America are we going to be? Are we going to be an America for dictators and plutocrats and theocrats and autocrats, or are we going to be in America for all the people? That's the question. All the people. And that's what we're fighting for. And it's right there in our Constitution. It's not we the dictators. It's not we the theocrats, we the plutocrats. It's not we the autocrats. It's not we Elon Musk or we the Trump family. It is we the people. And it is through American democracy that we've created Medicaid, that we've created Social Security, that we've created Medicare. We are not going to allow them to tear it down. We're going to hang tough. We're going to stay strong. And everybody who's got the ability to come out to the mall, come out to the mall this afternoon, this evening, tonight, in the middle of the night, in the wee hours of the morning, at sunrise, tomorrow in the afternoon, tomorrow in the evening. We will be here to demonstrate that the American people are focused on the fact that they are trying to dismantle Medicaid, but we're not going to allow them to do it. Thank you for having me, and I'll see you over the next 24 hours.
With fighters like Congressman Raskin in the House, we know we have someone on the inside who's going to fight for us and with us while we stand vigil and tell stories. And what Congressman Raskin just did, share the stories of constituents, of friends, that is what the next 24 hours is all about. There are 80 million Americans, our friends, our family members, people that we share a congregation with, that we share buses with, people who are in our communities, online and offline, who are a part of that 80 million, that family of people who rely on Medicaid. And we are here for the next 24 hours to give voice to their stories, their experiences, and what access to Medicaid makes possible in their lives. What access to Medicaid has done to save lives of people that they love and care about, people in their families, in their communities, in their congregations. That is what the next 24 hours is. And so, all of you who are here, I just want to thank you for standing in and standing up for the 80 million. And we're just going to keep going, and we're going to keep fighting, and we're going to keep telling our stories, because that is what we are called to do, and we are here to meet that moment. Are you with me? Yes! Are you with me? Yes! I'm going to need you to help keep the energy up. In this first hour, we're going to show what we can do in terms of keeping energy up, because we're going to go for how many hours? 24. How many hours? 24. That's right. It sounds like y'all are ready. And are we ready with our next speaker? Okay. Yes, we are. You are in for a treat. Our next speaker is a dear friend and one of the leaders in this country that I admire the most. I would be in the trenches on any fight, any day of the week with this leader. We have next Maria Town, who is the president and CEO of the American Association of People with Disabilities, and you won't want to miss what she has to say. Actually, you will hear from... Oh, okay. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Ai-jen. Thank you so much, Ai-jen. And thank you to everyone.
It's not working.
Here, I'll stand up.
Are you sure?
Yep. Okay. What do disabled people do? We adapt. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Ai-jen, and thank you to everyone who has come out today to protect Medicaid. We know as disabled people, we have often spent our lifetimes to protecting Medicaid, so a 24-hour vigil is nothing. We will be out here as long as it takes. Let me see who's here today. How many disability advocates do we have today? direct support workers do we have here today? How many family members do we have here today? And how many people believe that all Americans should live with dignity in the communities they love? That's right. Now I know today we're going to be hearing a lot of stories, and I'm not going to read anyone else's right now. I want to tell you my own. I was born with a developmental disability, and my childhood was defined by Medicaid. I am here today because of Medicaid. Medicaid provided me with critical services and supports, physical and occupational therapy, and it provided my mom with respite care so that she could pursue a nursing degree and raise 3 disabled kids. Medicaid is not only why I am here as a person, it is why I am here as an advocate. Because when I was a little girl, I lost my Medicaid services. Cuts at the federal level meant cuts in the state of Louisiana, and I lost my physical therapy. We lost our respite, and there was a huge, huge gap in my life where I received no services and supports. And today, 25 years later, it is harder for little girls with cerebral palsy to get onto Medicaid waivers than it was for me. That is not how the future is supposed to work. So when we are out here protecting Medicaid, we are protecting our futures. And it's not just our children, because even though I am no longer on Medicaid as an adult, I know that if I ever needed more direct support, if I needed more care, the only way I could get the support that I need to stay in my home is through Medicaid. As disabled people, we know that fighting for Medicaid is more than just an individual fight. It is a fight for the civil rights of everyone in this nation. It is a fight that we have gone into before, and we have won before, and we will win again. Because when we fight, thank you.
Give it up one more time for Maria Town. Next, we have a tireless leader who I have looked up to for decades, who has always embodied a commitment to fight for the children, fight for our families, fight for our caregivers and for care workers. And every time they have tried to come for our care, she has stood up, spoken up, and fought to the end. So we know we have a fighter in Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi. Please help me welcome our legendary Speaker Emerita.
Thank you all. Thank you, Ai-jen, and thank you for your tremendous leadership. We will continue to fight for our care workers to make sure that they are trained, paid well, and in many cases, I hope, unionized. Thank you, Ai-jen. Maria, thank you for sharing your story with us. The strength, the eloquence, the generosity of spirit with which you presented it are so compelling. I wish that our colleagues in Congress on the other side of the aisle could hear you and respond to your compelling, again, message. Guess it's really, Ai-jen Poo is really such a remarkable, remarkable person, carrying across generations. That's what we're all trying to do here. I don't need to tell you, but for those who are perhaps paying attention, so many people in our country depend on Medicaid. Certainly the poor children, but people with disabilities, seniors who need long-term care. This is a middle-income benefit as well as for those of economically disadvantaged. And again, our veterans, oh, the list goes on and on. I just will say this, because what you are doing is so important. This vigil is so important. You know, Lincoln said public sentiment is everything. With it, you can accomplish almost anything. Without it, practically nothing. My colleague Catherine Clark and Jamie Raskin have heard us say this again and again who are here. But for public sentiment to count, people have to know. People have to know. So thank you for being part of telling them and this vigil being a message to them. There are many things I would like to say about about what they're doing, taking money from Medicaid to give tax cuts to the richest people in America. And not only that, not shame. Not only that, they'll give them even bigger. They'll take us into debt to give those debt. Not only taking benefits, but taking us into debt. So the best thing I think I can do is read a couple of stories. Because when we were fighting them with for the Affordable Care Act, when they were trying, what's his name down the street there said Obamacare sucks, Rita said it doesn't suck, it cures. And the way we were able to save it was with 10,000 events around the country with people telling their stories, as Maria told hers and others tell theirs. I'm going to read you two stories from San Francisco. One is, Medicaid services support my loved ones in a variety of different ways, which is just another example of how important these services are. I have family members who are seniors who desperately rely on Medicaid for health insurance. I have young family members who rely on Medicaid for support with their disabilities. I know a lot of people in the community I serve that need Medicaid for their special health care needs. Please do not cut these services. Every penny counts. Another story. Through the Medicaid waiver, I received support for job coaching and tailored daily day services. These services support me with accessing the community and receiving support on and off the job, so I'm successful at work. My support worker also assists me with assessing forms like these and this or that. It goes on. Without these types of services, I would not be able to continue to help people in my community, and able to help people in our community. I love knitting, volunteering at Project Open Hand, Feed People, St. Anthony's, the Dining Room, the Bicycle Coalition of Family, all these kind of services that she is able to do because of Medicaid. Our contributions matter, and our voices need to be heard. What you hear in these comments is a sense of community. What they're doing with their budget is to destroy community. Community has the word unity in it, and that is what we have to be. Completely unified in our fight for Medicaid, for Medicare, for Social Security, for SNAP, for food for our children, and the rest. The most important, eloquent voices for this are yours. Nothing is more eloquent to a member of Congress than the voice of his or her own constituent. So make sure that the members of Congress, especially those who are not with us on this issue, hear from their constituents to tell them, we see and know what you are doing to give tax breaks to the rich while you take services away from the people. We will not let that happen. To do so, to give those tax breaks at the cost of Medicaid is a shame, 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 shame. Thank you all for what you are doing. Wonderful to be with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker Emerita Pelosi, who is reminding us of the power of our stories and how shameful it is what is happening right now in Congress, where they want to deliver tax cuts to the super wealthy, to people who have more than they would need for generations. More for them at the expense of our essential health care, our essential services in the home and community for disabled loved ones, for long-term care, for our jobs in the case of home care workers. And it is unacceptable and it is shameful. And that is why we're here for the next 24 hours. Am I right? Our next speaker is somebody whose social media I go to at the top of every week because she is determined to make sure that each of us understands exactly what is happening in Congress from week to week, breaking it down for us to understand what is at stake for families, for children, for working people, for caregivers, and what is happening right behind us. Nothing could be more important than us staying informed and staying activated and telling our stories. And she is taking those stories and fighting for us every single day. Please help me welcome House Democratic Whip Catherine Clark from the great state of Massachusetts.
All right. You know that if Speaker Nancy Pelosi is on your side, you're on the right side. So thank you all. Thank you all for being here. So today is Wednesday. Wednesday in the House of Representatives. Do you know what that means? Today was the day they had planned all their committee hearings to cut Medicaid. But we're not having those hearings. Do you know why? Because of you. Because we may be sitting a few blocks away, but they are hearing you. They are hearing you across this country come together and demand fairness and equity. And they know that you understand the playbook here, that you take health care away from millions of kids, that you take health care away from people who need it. You take health care away that pays for over half of the births in this country, and you give it all to the billionaire class in the form of a tax cut. You have exposed what is going on, and they are responding. So we are going to keep it up. And every single day, I hear from my constituents, people whose lives depend on Medicaid, people who understand this isn't just another government program. It is one of the greatest achievements that we have from our American government. So when you have a program that covers 40% of the births in this country, 45% of special needs kids, and 99% of kids in foster care, that's who they want to go after to pay for tax cuts for Elon Musk. We're here to say, no way, hands off. Hands off. So I'm going to share a story with you for your vigil about a mom in Massachusetts who's been on my mind. She told me about her son who was born with spinal muscular atrophy. It is challenging for him, but his challenges do not define who he is. He's a proud college grad, and he works full-time. He is embracing all the joys and opportunities of life because he has the resources to get through the day from Medicaid. He's been on Medicaid since the age of 2. That's how they have afforded his wheelchairs, the medical equipment he depends on, the treatment he needs 3 times a year, the personal care attendants who help him every single day. Medicaid doesn't just keep him alive, it allows him to live. And here's what his mom wrote to me. Without Medicaid, he would be lost. Without the strength to work, without the care to survive. Cuts to this program are inhumane, and we cannot allow the inhumanity to destroy innocent people. We will not allow their greed to dictate life in this country because it is built and belongs to the working people, not the billionaire class. So we're going to fight. We're going to fight because you deserve a country where health care for working families is not controversial and where dignity and opportunity are not considered luxury items. We can win this fight, and you have shown today by these canceled hearings that you are making a difference. So we're going to keep it up. And we're going to join together. And we're going to pull the stories from our communities and bring them to people, even when they run away from us, run away from their own voters. And we are going to make sure that at the end of the day, when we talk about a country's ideals of equality and liberty and justice for all, that we bring them to reality. Let's keep up the fight. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being in this.
House Democratic Whip Catherine Clark, let's give it up for her one more time, fighting for us and reminding us how important it is that we are here. The timing is working, the storytelling is working, the showing up, the coming together is working. We're not going to stop, because when we fight, next up, we have a friend who is an actor, a comedian, a writer, producer, advocate, and activist with muscular dystrophy and a member of Caring Across Generations Creative Care Council. It is my honor to introduce Steve Way. Please give him a warm welcome.
How about now? There we go. How's everybody doing today? You know, a lot of people might say that they're happy to be here today. I'm not. I don't want to be here. I'm tired of this. But I don't have a choice. We don't have a choice. We have to fight. Because they brought the fight to us. Medicaid allows me to have my medical equipment, to see my doctors, go to the hospital, to get my medications, pay for my caregivers, at no cost to me. And we are fighting, not just for ourselves, not just for everyone here, but for our black brothers and sisters, our gay brothers and sisters, our trans brothers and sisters, our family, friends, our neighbors, even if we don't agree with them politically, we still do it for them. And we do this for the millions and millions of people across the country who might need Medicaid tomorrow. They just don't know it yet. We must tell our elected officials in the building behind me that cuts to Medicaid is an act of violence, because people will die. People will hurt. They will suffer. They will go into financial ruin. And they will die. Only because they want to make the rich even richer. And we must say no. We will not allow them to do this. If they vote yes on cuts to Medicaid, we vote no on them. We are not alone. I know you all are scared. I know you're afraid. I'm afraid. You have every right to be afraid. But don't let the fear consume you. Don't lose sight of the fight. It's going to get harder. It's going to be a lot harder. We're going to be tired. But we are not alone. We must have solidarity. Have solidarity with everyone. Everyone is in this fight together. When one falls, we all fall. When one fails, we all fail. We can't do this without each other. So at the end of the day, we must set aside our differences. Medicaid helps everyone. It does not have a political affiliation. It's not a D or an R. Medicaid is human because health care is a human right. We must fight like our lives depend on it, because they do. Solidarity forever. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Steve. I'm Nicole Jorwick. I work with Ai-jen and everyone at Caring Across Generations, and it's my honor to step in to introduce a wonderful advocate and member of the House of Representatives from my home state of Illinois, Representative Robin Kelly, who is always fighting for us. So I will return it to you, Representative Kelly.
Hey everybody, I just told Steve next week when we have our hearing in Energy and Commerce, yes, I'm on that committee, I'm on the Healthcare Subcommittee, and I promise you Democrats will fight like hell and push back. And just to remind you, you are definitely the wind beneath our wings. We need you. You know, we're fighting with two arms behind our backs because we're in the minority, but I said when the arms go, we're going to start kicking, and I just want you to know that. So we're here, like you, to tell Republicans in the Capitol behind us to keep their hands off Medicaid. The consequences of an $880 billion cut to Medicaid, as you know, would be so severe. My district has 753,000 people. 300,000 people will be affected if they have the cuts like they want to have. This is parents, children, seniors, veterans, disabled. People just trying to make ends meet. But behind the numbers are real people. Real people. It's not just the numbers. La Rabida Hospital, for those of you from Illinois, is in my district, and they take care of kids with complex, chronic medical conditions. 90% of their patients are covered by Medicaid. One of those kids is Cairo. When he was 2 years old, his mother found him nearly unresponsive at a daycare. After rushing him to the hospital, they found bleeding in his brain. He needed a breathing tube, a tube for feeding, and a shunt to drain fluid from his brain. He was extremely sick. They discovered a genetic condition that leads to abnormal blood vessel connections. After spending a month and a half in the pediatric intensive care unit, Cairo's medical expenses reached $2.5 million. $2.5 million. That was even before he was transferred to La Rabida for continued medical care. As a mother and grandmother myself, let me tell you, a parent will pay any cost to save their child. But as the richest country in the history of the world, no loving parent should experience crippling medical debt to treat their child. Both of Cairo's parents work full-time to support their family of 5, but because he was under 6 years old when his genetic condition was discovered, he and his siblings can remain on Medicaid. With Medicaid, he will receive 24-hour care, including in-home nursing, which allowed his parents to continue working full-time. Medicaid paid for his supplies, equipment, and therapy at La Rabida. His mom said if it were not for Medicaid, he would not be here today. He has made tremendous progress, I'm happy to report. When he first arrived at La Rabida, he was on a ventilator support, had little mobility, and could not speak. Now he's completely off the ventilator and is able to walk. There are so many stories like this. There are so many stories like that. We've heard from so many people that are taking care of their kids, people that did work but had to leave work to take care of their child. One gentleman told us, you know, he had to leave work. If we cut Medicaid, his wife will have to get a second job. If that doesn't work, they'll have to sell their home. And if that doesn't work, he actually said he would have to give his
custody of his child back to the state so his child would have care. And that parent is a loving parent. I just want to guarantee you again, we are going to fight like hell. This is cruel. This is evil. There is no, why are you in government if you don't care about the people? We are public servants. We work for you. You don't work for us. So I just want to thank all of you for being here. We can't do it without you. We can't do it without your voices because we are in the minority. But together, we can do it. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much to my home state representative, Representative Kelly. And we're going to be out here all the way until tomorrow at 1 o'clock, sharing these stories, bearing witness to all the people who will be impacted. And now it's my honor to introduce Olga Irwin from Popular Democracy.
Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. My name is Olga Irwin. I am from Youngstown, Ohio. We drove here today to be here, an 8-hour drive. Me and another person who is on Medicaid and Medicaid and Medicare. My story starts back 27 years ago when I was diagnosed with AIDS. I was only given 3 to 6 months to live. And I had to fight like hell then to get Medicaid, just to live that short of time. It took me 2 years to get approved for disability so I could get Medicaid. Okay, I survived. I'm healthy. Somewhat healthy. Okay, now, with the first set of meds I was on, I ended up having a 4-way bypass at 38 years old. Gallbladder removed at 39 years old. At the Affordable Care Act, when I was at the Affordable Care Act, December 7th, I had a stroke. After I had that stroke, that's why I'm in this walker now and holding on to this because my left side's so weak. After that, I also lost all my bladder control and some of my bowel movements. They had to put a stimulator in my back so I could feel when I had to go pee. And if I was not on Medicaid and Medicare, my meds, just my HIV med, is $5,000. With all my other meds for all the comorbidities, it's $10,000 a month. Somebody that only gets $780 a month, how the hell are they going to live? My husband only makes $600 a month. And we're on the border of qualifying for all of Medicaid and Medicare. I could not even have Easter this year because of the cuts to SNAP. No ham. Ham was up too high. Oh, God forbid, make Easter eggs, especially Ukrainian Easter eggs like I do for my tradition because I'm Ukrainian. Couldn't even do that. Because God, look at the prices of our eggs. Oh, forget trying to get milk. Your kids couldn't even have milk, healthy foods no more because some of the cuts. I'm on wire and wait to get a little bit more help. That's a federal grant fund, but it comes under Medicare. They have cut half of our HIV funds already. We have no more research. We have our caseworkers now do not have jobs. I'm without a caseworker to help fill paperwork out that I need to fill out every 6 months to make sure I still receive my help. That's In Ohio, we've lost, that's 15 people, just caseworkers from one agency lost their jobs because of cuts to HIV, to Ryan White. There is no mental support no more. It is ridiculous. And if I did not have Medicaid and Medicare, I could not even afford to get diapers once a month. That's pretty bad when you can't afford underwears. That's pretty damn fucking bad, ain't it? That's why we're in this fight. I've been arrested 23 times fighting for Medicaid. We cannot lose this. I'm not the only case. I am not the worst case. What about the babies that are born that need it? What about people that are born with other... you see some of the people come up here that are born with disabilities. What about them? What about them? Are we supposed to be thrown away? If you're old, if you're retired, served our country, you can't get your veterans benefits? Oh, God forbid being disabled and can't walk. You want to kill us, huh? And like the one lady goes, that's about living on a budget. We'll show those millionaires how to live on a budget. Give us half of your money. We'd be fucking richer than a motherfucker. Excuse my language, I just say it how it is. You know, we got to keep this fight up. Everybody's got to keep coming. We're not going to let us be in the background no more. We need to be on the table. We need to show everybody we're not giving up.
All right, all right. How's everybody doing? All right. Well, our next speaker, we have someone who is also in Congress fighting for us from the great state of Colorado. Someone who has heard a lot from her constituents already about Medicaid, and she is taking that message to Congress every single day. Please help me welcome Congresswoman Diana DeGette from Colorado's 1st District.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, and thank you for being here for this vigil. It's because of your efforts we're going to stop them from cutting your Medicaid. And let me tell you, I've been in Congress for a little while. I'm the ranking Democrat on the Health Subcommittee. That's where all of these cuts are going to come through. And my colleagues like Congresswoman Kelly, who you just heard from, and I are going to do everything with every fiber of our being to make sure that we do not have these cuts in Medicaid in order to benefit millionaires and billionaires and corporations. Period. End of story. So I've been hearing from so many of my constituents like you. I had a Medicaid listening session in March in my district, which is Denver, Colorado. And I invited my constituents to come and talk to me about why Medicaid is important in their lives. And I had so many people across all the spectrums talk about what Medicaid has done for them. I see all of you who are such advocates, and many of you and people you know and serve would have no health care if it weren't for Medicaid. This is why over 70% of Americans support Medicaid, because Medicaid is health care. Health care is Medicaid, pure and simple. If you cut somebody's Medicaid, then you're cutting them off from health care. You're cutting them off from being a productive member of our society, and you're exposing them to personal and family pain and suffering. That's not just cruel, that's un-American, and we're not going to stand for it. So today, I don't know if you saw this, but if the cuts that the Republican majority in Congress want to make in Medicaid go through, 5.4 million Americans would be denied their health care coverage. 5.4 million Americans. Think about how many millions of more Americans that would impact. So I think this is going to give a lot of my friends across the aisle a lot of pause about whether they want to be voting to take their constituents off of the health care that they rely on for even their lives. So I want to tell you about one fellow who showed up at my listening session last month in March. His name is Jason. And Jason came in to talk about why he was on Medicaid and what he did. He came in with his mom. And Jason said he's a heart transplant recipient. Can you imagine? Jason has received a new heart. The good news is, because of his health coverage, because he's able to have the drugs that he has to have for the rest of his life, he's productive, he's working, and he is functioning. His medication costs $10,000 every month. That's what keeps him alive. Without Medicaid, he couldn't have those drugs, and he would die. His mom is worried about how she would cover his treatments if he didn't have his Medicaid. And when Jason stood up and talked in my Medicaid listening session, he was moved to tell us something that he has never told anybody else until that day. Not only does Jason have a new heart, but Jason is HIV positive, and if he didn't have the medication and treatment he needs, he would probably get AIDS and he would probably die. Folks, this is what we're talking about in America right now. This is what we're fighting for. And I want to tell you, as long as it takes and as much effort as it takes, my colleagues and I are going to fight with every fiber of our being to make sure we preserve this important system. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Congresswoman DeGette. All right, y'all, how's everybody feeling? We are out here because we are all doing the best we can to take care of ourselves and the people we love, and it's not easy. It's not easy. And the truth is, we deserve better. We shouldn't have to be out here for the next 24 hours, but we will be, because we do what's necessary. We do what's necessary to take care of the people we love. And in a country where 10,000 of us are born every single day and 10,000 people are turning 65 every single day, we should not have to be fighting for Medicaid. We should be talking about how to expand Medicaid and Social Security and Medicare and all of the programs that we need to take care of our families at every stage of life for generations to come. But this is where we are, and this is the fight. And it is also really an opportunity to see how powerful we can be when we come together. When 80 million of us who rely on a crucial program like Medicaid actually come together, being able to see and experience our power is one of the biggest opportunities I know that I will have in my lifetime to experience power. And that is what we are here to channel today. We want to see how powerful we can be when we take our future into our own hands, so that in the future we can all afford our health care, we can all have paid family leave to take care of our loved ones, we can all have affordable child care, affordable aging and disability care, including caring for our caregivers and our care workers too. And so it starts with each of us taking this fight back home to our neighbors, our friends, our family members, our congregations, sharing our stories, like we're about to do for the next 23 hours, and raising the alarm about what's happening right now in DC and how it will impact all of our communities and how there's still time to make a difference. Telling our representatives about the impact. You might think that they already know, but trust me when I say they need to hear your story. And they need it to be in their minds as every single vote comes up, every discussion happens, every hearing happens. They need to be picturing you and the people you love. And calling your representatives or showing up for a lobby day or telling your story at a vigil might seem like just a really small act, but it is so powerful when there's 80 million of us coming together. We are unstoppable. And we have made it really easy for you to do this. I'm going to ask that everybody get out your phones. I have my phone. My dog Benny is on my phone, my fur baby. And I saw a lot of fur babies out here fighting for Medicaid too. We're all out here. So what we want to do is text the word vigil to 227464. The number is 227464. And you're going to text the word vigil. And you'll find everything you need to get in touch with your representatives. One more time, the number is 227464. And you're going to text the word vigil, VIGIL. And now I am so honored and excited to hand off the mic to our partners at the amazing organization, Disability Rights, Education, and Defense Fund, to lead the next hour. Welcome them. Make some noise. Let me hear it.